Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. A little bit late starting. So maybe today I will keep my sharing short, and I will join with whichever group Anna assigns me to. That would be quite nice to me too, I think. So welcome to this last meeting of our Lenten journey. And what we're focusing on today is week 6, so the week that's just gone by, so which was taking into account days 36 to 40, and also to bring into it the journey as a whole. I think on the last session, that's inevitable that we're going to be kind of looking back over our whole journey. So our reflections on the 6th week and the whole thing, again, faith sharing groups as usual procedure, and then back to whole group sharing, and then a closing silence and a prayer. So if we start with a short examine, again, I'll trim things so we've got as much time for sharing as possible. So let's start with a few moments of silence. Dear God, may all our intentions and actions be directed purely for your service and praise. We thank you for the gifts we have received in this last week and in the whole of the 6 weeks of this journey with Julian as our guide. We thank you for all the wonderful gifts that you have generously given in our day-to-day lives. We ask you to look on each of us today to show us what you would have us see about our journey, to be able to see ourselves through your eyes. So we take a few moments to reflect back on the last week and on the last 6 weeks. And we notice with your eyes what you would like to show us of where you were present, both when we were aware of your presence and maybe those times where we were not aware. We also reflect on those moments where we were tempted to turn away, where maybe we didn't even notice the nudge, or we noticed it and went our own way anyway. And we ask your forgiveness for these moments. We also consider and ponder who you would have us be as we move forward from having journeyed these 40 days together, to take with us the lessons learned and the movements we have experienced, and to continue to walk more deeply into your intimacy. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen. So, themes for this week. So I'm going to keep my sharing short. You will not be overcome. See how I love you. And opposition to this love is not from God. I am God. I am in all things. I do all things. Day 39. The desire to know God's meaning, which comes down to one word, love. And finally, all will be well, this reassurance at the end of it. In terms of my own week, this week, I talked previously in the last 2 weeks about this this saying that I've carried with me always: I am keeping you very safe, from when I first read Julian. And quite often I'm reflecting the movement into this last week: you will not be overcome. I'm going to be honest about this, I got muddled up in later years where I'd heard that. It was so often ingrained in my prayer: you will not be overcome, and also the bit, you will not be troubled. I did not say you would not be troubled, because I thought that was St. Paul in recent years, until I read it again recently, and it was like, oh, that was Julian. And that stayed with me for a long time, usually in tandem with I'm keeping you very safe, you will not be overcome. So in times of difficulty, that's kind of stuck with me. And then moving to this idea that actually love is what it's all about. I like this one on day 38. I am God, I am in all things. So I've said before that my background is in Ignatian spirituality. And of course that's the motto, if you like, of Ignatian spirituality, is about finding God in all things. So for me, this is where Julian and Saint Ignatius were both saying exactly the same thing: God is in everything. And this week in particular, I went to a concert with my sister. We both had quite a difficult year, difficult couple of years actually, and she'd booked this. It was to see Imelda May at Cambridge Corn Exchange, and she booked VIP tickets. So we got into the sound check to have a question and answer with Imelda May, which was amazing. And I decided, okay, I'll book us 2 nights in a hotel. So this was like it was extravagant, but it was a real treat to do this. And during the question and answer, Imelda May, she said fundamentally, and I'm quoting her exactly, I believe in love, is what she said. And during the concert itself, she started to put her poems, her poetry, into a book, and she read one of them. And I haven't got a copy of it because I did buy her poetry book, but I bought it for my daughter, so I'm going to have to get a copy of it. But the poem began, I asked love, who are you? So I'm coming out in goosebumps now, even just this bit. And her poem was all about, and then love said to me. So her poem was all about love telling her who love is. And while she was reading that at the gig, even now as I'm talking about it, I was moved to tears, and came out in goosebumps. And I just thought, so I'm at this concert, and it was just like, and my sister's like, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just, that's hit me right there. And it made me feel very emotional. And that was on, that was on Friday. So what was this? This was Thursday. 37 was Friday. See How I Love You. So, and that felt really like, I felt like I'd been hit by it, actually, was how it felt. And there was another song that she did, and again it was during the rehearsal. She had some pictures up, and I can't even remember what the song was called. It's the first song on her album, but I wasn't even listening to the words, because the picture she had up, she had people in boats and people looking like they were troubled. And I was watching this light show behind her as she was singing with this song, and it was just like, to me, I understood them to be refugees, from anywhere and everywhere. And again, that was another moment where I was moved to tears by that. I still am, even as I visualize it. So there was this sense for me, this love, desire to know God's meaning, in terms of God being love, and that extending to all people. And even when it seems troubled and the world is really troubled, is this sense at the end of it that don't want to be glib about it and go, yeah, but it's all okay. But I'm talking about a much deeper sense of, even in spite of this, with the presence of love in the world, you know, individual, day-to-day love, you know, this presence of God in our lives, the way we feel, the way we respond to each other, is what makes it all well in the end. And that's the bottom line. And I've described before this image of me feeling that I'm sitting in the quiet and there's a storm going around me. And I guess that image fits with this whole thing, this whole journey, is that to have that faith that in spite of the storm and everything else, to sit in that place, in that quiet place, in love with God, is that everything's okay. Everything is well and will be well, and everything that Julian says in the day 40 reading. So that's kind of where I've come to at the end of my journey. And I still feel quite emotional by it all. So I'm not going to linger too much because we've lost so much time already. So if we go into, if we still gives us about half an hour. So if we go into groups with 4 as we usually do, and we should still have about 10 minutes each to share, maybe slightly less, and then we'll come back after half an hour, 35 minutes, to do the whole group sharing. So again, I'll put the questions there. I'm not necessarily going to go over them all again, so we can go straight into groups, but I will put these in the chat again. Is that okay? And do you want to? Dear God, we thank you for all of the amazing gifts, for your generosity and bounty to each and every single one of us throughout this journey, for Julian's revelations for each other. We ask you to continue with us as we take our next steps, even if we can't see the path directly ahead of us, as we walk in faith with you. And we ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen. So I would also like to wish everyone a very happy and holy Easter into Monday, Thursday, tomorrow. So thank you as well for all your sharing and your generosity and turning up every week. I don't think I've got any more to say. I think it's all been said already. So we'll keep it open if anyone just wants to stay and say anything, but